The haunting reality of the brothers' home internment camp in Busan, South Korea, transcends the fictional nightmare of Squid Game, revealing a chilling true story of systematic human exploitation that defies imagination. Park In-kyun, the mastermind behind this horrific facility, created what appeared to be a homeless shelter, but was, in reality, a calculated machine of human destruction. Under the guise of social rehabilitation, he orchestrated a complex system of control that targeted society's most vulnerable individuals. Most inmates were not vagrants as claimed, but ordinary people abducted from streets, parks, and public spaces. Young men, elderly individuals, and even teenagers were swept into this nightmare, their identities reduced to mere numbers in a cruel bureaucratic system. The camp's internal structure mimicked a militaristic prison, with brutal platoon leaders wielding absolute power. These enforcers created elaborate psychological and physical torture mechanisms that went far beyond simple punishment. Inmates were systematically broken down, their spirits crushed through relentless physical abuse and psychological manipulation. Forced labor became the primary economic engine of the facility. Inmates manufactured various products without compensation, generating significant revenue for Park In-kyun and his associates. The government, shockingly, provided financial incentives based on the number of people detained, creating a perverse economic motivation for continued human rights violations. Survivors' testimonies reveal nightmarish games designed to humiliate and destroy human dignity. The motor vehicle game involved leaders screaming incomprehensible commands while physically assaulting inmates, while the Hiroshima game saw prisoners suspended upside down from bunk beds, beaten mercilessly if they lost balance or showed weakness. Yan Sang-mo, who was merely 15 when imprisoned, described scenes of unimaginable brutality. Baseball bats became instruments of control, with beatings administered for the slightest perceived infractions. The psychological trauma inflicted was as devastating as the physical abuse. What makes this story particularly horrifying is its systemic nature. This wasn't an isolated incident of individual cruelty, but a structured, government-adjacent operation that deliberately targeted marginalized populations. The brothers' home camp represented a microcosm of societal violence, where human beings were transformed into disposable labor units. The parallels with Squid Game extend beyond mere structural similarities. Both narratives expose the fundamental fragility of human rights under capitalist and hierarchical systems. They reveal how easily individuals can be stripped of their humanity when institutional power goes unchecked. Unlike the Netflix series Fictional Resolution, the brothers' home story continues. Survivors have spent decades fighting for recognition, seeking justice in a system that initially ignored their suffering. Their persistence represents a powerful testament to human resilience. Ultimately, the brothers' home internment camp is more than a historical footnote. It's a stark warning about the potential for institutional violence, a real-world example of how quickly societal structures can transform into instruments of oppression when compassion is replaced by economic calculation. The story demands not just remembrance, but active vigilance against systems that might repeat such profound violations of human dignity.